Welcome, sweet friends, to the channel Frugal Money Saver. My name is Emmy. My husband is Paul. We're so happy you have joined us today. Today's video, we're going to be combating some of these modern money wastings that we see and hear all the time. Things like everything is disposable. Money should be spent immediately, etc., etc. You know where we're going with this. Paul and I are pretty old-fashioned. We live a very frugal and simple life because we don't have to conform to what society says we need to spend our money on. So let's get right into this video. The first is that everything is disposable. In other words, it's broke, get rid of it. Why are you fixing this? That's ridiculous, just buy a new one. Well, we say, why not fix it? Let's keep things out of the landfill. Let's save ourselves some money and spend that money on something that's really important to us, a priority in our life. So we're going to turn the camera around. We're going to go outside with Paul, and he is going to do a simple, easy DIY that probably saved us at least a couple $100. Let's go see what that is.
This is our patio set that we like to sit out and enjoy the weather. We got our umbrella. Anyway, the table on this, the top of it is not sunlight proof. And we've changed this before. If you've watched our other video, the top just deteriorates. So now it's time to change the top. Why replace the whole set and spend big money when you can just do this? We picked up this roll of adhesive vinyl flooring. It's a gray wood tone, and it'll probably match this tabletop very nicely. We got this through Walmart, and it's under $20. So this is just a great way to fix up and repurpose something we already have instead of buying a whole new set. So let's get started.
The first thing Paul is going to do is take off the screws along the bottom. He's just going to go around and unscrew all these edges so we can release what's on there now.
I'm going to show you a tip that a mechanic taught me many years ago. With this screwdriver and these rusty screws, they're going to be frozen in there. It's going to be hard to turn them. First, you want to make sure is that your screwdriver is going to fit the screw perfectly. You don't want it to strip. You don't want it to pop out. Now this screw's pretty rusty. What he taught me was to use two hands, put the screwdriver in, press down, take your hands and gently rock it. And look, it breaks them free. Basically, if you put the screwdriver in there and just try to open it up, guess what? It's just not going to work. It's going to strip. It's going to fly out, mar up whatever you're working. Put a little pressure down on the tip of the screwdriver as straight as possible and give it some gentle torques with your hand. That's all it takes.
So Paul just removed the hard backing, and this was the last piece we put on many years ago. You can see it definitely needs to be replaced. So we're going to pull this out and get going.
So this is the old tabletop, and I'm going to use this as a template to cut out the new tabletop. There's no reason to measure it. It's all the same size, so I'm just going to lay this on the sheet and go from there. Now I'm just going to mark it out with a magic marker and cut it with my scissors. And here's the new sheet after I cut it out to size. The back of it's got an adhesive coating, but we're not going to use it. So let's install this into the frame. While installing it into the frame, I gently roll it out and make sure that it fits perfectly. Now I'm installing the original board, which is a cement board, and that gives the table strength. That just drops in no problem. Now I'm going to use the old top to cover the bottom. Now just reinstall all the clamps that held the tabletop together. We're going to install the legs and see what this looks like. Well, here it is. The new tabletop looks beautiful. The gray matches the color of the table. It matches the color of the deck. Just gorgeous. There it is. Well done.
So instead of buying a brand new metal outdoor table, Paul did a genius DIY. We had showed you this years ago when we first did it. And that first tabletop we did lasted us several years. So for under $20, this was just a win-win. Now, what are we going to do with the rest of that roll of vinyl flooring? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to use it to line our bottom cabinets here in the kitchen. Our bottom cabinets get a lot of wear and tear with pots and pans going in. So that $20 we spent on that roll is going to be stretched very far. We're not throwing anything in the landfill. We're saving ourselves money. Another idea that people may have, that an activity that was useful years ago is no longer valid today. And what we're talking about is gardening. We hear so many times that is such an old-fashioned hobby. Or why are you wasting your time doing that? Or you spend all this money on a garden and you get like $5 worth of produce. I cannot tell you how incorrect that is. The great thing is, if you live in a warm climate, you can have food year round. Now, our summers are going to be winding down in about a month, but then we get some beautiful fall days, and that's a great time to grow some cool weather vegetables like broccoli. You can even plant some herbs inside year round on a windowsill, on a small table in front of a window. You can't lose growing your own pesticide-free food. We waited to show you our first harvest out of our container garden. It's not huge. Everything is not ready. We have a lot of green peppers and a lot of green tomatoes still, but we wanted to share this first pick with you. Oh my goodness. Oh, how beautiful. All right, we're going to go down this row and Paul is going to pick all the red tomatoes. Look at these. I'm telling you, people who say that gardening is not worth the time, you've never had a tomato fresh off the vine. And now you are present for the first harvesting of our hot cherry peppers. Paul's giving them a snip. I use these hot cherry peppers in a lot of pork chop dishes. Look at them, they're beautiful. That's got some that are ready, and you can see they all have a lot of green on them too. So we're gonna be getting a bunch of these. So worth it. You have seen me harvest my basil before, and look how it grows back. I'll link a video down below on how to preserve basil for the winter with some olive oil in the freezer. But you can see it's not flowering. It just keeps rejuvenating itself. Wonderful. Our pears are almost ready to harvest as well. Yes, we do share with our furry friends. Our vegetables that we grow are completely pesticide free. We don't put anything on them. Look at this. There is still time to grow cool weather vegetables. So worth it, so delicious. We're so excited to have our first tomato sandwich. Another notion that we don't find worth much, and that is that being creative has no place in the kitchen. But I'm talking about being creative with food that other people would throw out. I made a batch of beets in the Instant Pot the other day. And what was left over, most people would look at it and toss it. They would not be bothered. But back in the day, that would not have been the case. And Paul and I try to apply those back in the day concepts every single day to our lives, not only to save money, but not waste. So I've got to show you what was left over after I cooked the beets in the Instant Pot and what I created from that. I used the Instant Pot to cook them and they came out perfect. I'll link the recipe down below that I used to cook these. Look at all this beautiful beet juice left on the bottom. Now you know I cannot toss that. What are we going to do with that leftover beet juice, beet water that was on the bottom of the Instant Pot? Look at this. There was no way I could throw that out. It would be criminal. So what I thought would be fun is to make some pickled carrots, quick pickled carrots. I have 3 carrots here that I peeled, 1 tablespoon of sugar, a cup of beet juice. Now you could use water if you didn't have the beet juice, definitely, but I want to use that beet juice up. Some pickling spice, and I have a half a cup of white vinegar. These are not shelf stable. They need to be refrigerated. Please note that. I'm just going to take my carrots and peel them right into this bowl so they come out strips like this. So I'm going to do that with all 3 carrots. So here's our bowl of carrots, and any that got too tiny, we just cut up into pieces because they will be just as delicious. In the pot, I have my 1 cup of the beet water. And again, you can use regular water. Just did not want to waste that. Use what you have. I'm adding a half a cup of white vinegar. We don't like super sour food, so I'm going to go with a half a cup, but you do it to taste. I'm going to add a tablespoon of sugar. By all means, you do not have to do that either, but I think that'll give it that sweet and sour kind of taste. And I do have some pickling spice, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that in. And I'm also going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now I'm giving this a gentle mix, and we're going to let this boil for about a minute or so, just to let these flavors all come together. I have a completely clean and dry mason jar. I put my wide mouth funnel on top. Best kitchen tool ever. And we're just going to put the carrots into this mason jar. Okay, so that fit perfectly. How about how easy this is? Okay, this just boiled for a couple of minutes. I'm going to turn it off. We're going to let the brine cool, and then we're going to pour it over our carrots. So after I poured the brine, I let the carrots just sit for a minute, and then I take my wooden spoon, push it down so everything is covered in that delicious brine, perfect amount. The pickled carrots have cooled. I'm going to put my lid on, and I'm going to put it right into the refrigerator, and this is going to be great for salads, for sandwiches, for a side dish with a meal. What a great way to have an inexpensive flavor enhancer for all your meals. So I'm going to pop this right into the refrigerator. Those carrots have been such a tasty addition to our meals this past couple of days. We could have used onions even. We could have sliced cucumbers and put those in. Just remember, this is not a shelf-stable recipe. It must be refrigerated. And the last one, you know I'm going to go into it, is cooking from scratch. Today, people will tell you to do everything but cook from scratch. The reason we cook from scratch is because it just makes us feel better. I'd rather take a fresh potato and fry it up than buy a bag of frozen French fries with tons of other stuff added to it. That is just us. Again, no food shaming. This is how we do it. And honestly, this is how they did it many years ago. They ate a lot of whole foods. And the notion today is the quicker, the better. The quicker you can get that meal on the table. It doesn't matter how much sugar, salt, or processing it goes through. Long as it's quick, it's easy, do it. And I'm going to say, even if it's just 1 or 2 meals a week that you make from scratch, that is awesome, and we're super proud of you. We had a real life meltdown, snafu, I don't know what you want to call it, while we were filming the next part of this video. My intention was good, and you'll understand, but we keep it real here. We keep it real life, and this is exactly what happened. It turned out amazing, but you have got to see what happened. A great economical way to save money and eat well is to buy something like a whole chicken. We are going to cook this whole chicken in the crock pot. And when we are done, you will have meat and broth to cook meals for the next several days. So let me show you how easy it is to do this. What we're going to start with is about 4 potatoes. These are gold potatoes. We just scrub them really well. I got about 3 whole carrots and some onion. And I'm going to take these items and place them on the bottom of my crock pot. Then we have our whole chicken. This is around 5 pounds. And then I have about a teaspoon of paprika, teaspoon of pepper, about a half a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of onion powder, and about a teaspoon of rosemary. And this is going to take about 5 minutes to put together. I'm going to leave the carrots whole but quarter the potatoes. Let's first start by putting the vegetables on the bottom of the crock pot. Yeah, I just took all the spices, put them together, and I'm just grinding them with my fingertips just so this comes together as a wonderful little spice mix. Now, of course, I washed this chicken thoroughly inside and out. I'm going to put a little on the outside, then I'm going to lift the skin, and I am taking that herb mix and I am putting it on the inside as well. The skin will come right up, and you just want all this flavor. We're going to cook the chicken breast down. All the juice goes to the breast. So that's how we're going to do it today. Just make sure you cover this good, all kinds of good flavors. Now you're noticing I didn't put any water in. There is enough water in this chicken that it is going to make an amazing broth. Always remember to wash your hands with soap and water after handling any raw meat. So our bird is nicely seasoned. Our veggies are on the bottom. I am just going to cover this and make sure it fits. You want that lid on tight. And we're going to cook it on high probably about 4 to 5 hours. So we'll see you in about 4 hours. You know we keep it real on this channel. This is real life, people. This is about an hour later. And this chicken has not cooked an awful lot. It is on high, but it just never got really hot. It looks like our crock pot that has served us well is going to be retired because it's not cooking my food. So what are we going to do is we're going to transfer it to a baking dish and finish it in the oven. So this is real life, and I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to edit it. You need to know this happens, and what can we do now to save this chicken, potatoes, and carrots? All the veggies and the chicken are not going to fit in one pan. So I just got my handy dandy butter wrapper, and I'm just greasing a smaller Pyrex, and we're going to cook the vegetables in here. So I put our potatoes and carrots in here, and I am just drizzling them with a little bit of olive oil now because we are actually going to roast them. Yay! This is all going to be delicious. So we have our veggies in this pan, and we have our beautiful chicken in this pan. I'm going to put these in a 375-degree oven. As expected, we cook this at 375 for about an hour and a half. The internal temperature is over 165 degrees, which is what you want. Now, it was not what we started out to do, but for dinner tonight, we're going to slice some of this chicken. We're going to pair it with some of the potatoes and the carrots. I'm going to make a delectable gravy out of these juices. And then the rest of this chicken will go into the refrigerator. And we have enough for chicken salad, chicken pot pie, chicken tacos, pizza with ranch chicken topping. So do yourself a favor, buy one of the most economical pieces of protein you can, which is a whole chicken. And you will get several days worth of delicious meals out of it. Well, as sad as it is, our crock pot just stopped working. Now I'm going to say this, and this is super important. We caught it super early. We realized right away that that chicken was not cooking on that high heat as it should have. If we had not paid attention and that chicken had sat there for 2 hours, honestly, we would have tossed it for safety reason. Bacteria can grow really quickly in this warm weather. Now, thank goodness the crock pot was cooking, but it was cooking like on a low, super low heat. So it was okay. We ate it. We're fine. But I would never, ever recommend that if that had been on for a while, just sitting there, toss it, don't eat it. No amount of money saved is worth anyone being sick. With that being said, we salvaged that beautiful chicken and those vegetables, and the meal was amazing. My whole point was cook once and eat for several days. And with a whole chicken, you can do that effortlessly. Like I just pointed out, there are so many meals you can make with a whole chicken. There's so much meat on it, and don't throw those bones away after. Put them in the freezer, and when you're ready to make stock, pull them out, cook them down with some vegetables, and you will have a wonderful broth. This is the way they lived back in the day. They were frugal. They watched their pennies. We're trying really hard to live a way that is simple and that brings us peace, and that is just a little easier. Now, we tell you all the time, your frugal journey is yours, and whatever works for you is so great with us, and we respect that 100%. Please know that. We're just sharing our journey and letting you know how we do certain things. So we hope this video was encouraging. Today's question of the day: what have you done this past week that you know your grandmother would have done as well? Did you cook from scratch? Did you hang your clothes outside on the line? Did you make your own bread? Did you fix something you knew you could repair? Please share that with us down below, because it not only encourages us, it encourages our viewers as well. We thank you so much for sharing this time with us. We appreciate you being here. Please give this a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Come on in, hit that subscribe button, and be part of our frugal family. We ask you to be well. We ask you to be safe. And above all, we wish you blessings. Until our next video, may God greatly bless you.